Let's talk about the magical Utah marriage. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, Missouri. In today's video, we're going to talk about the myth of the magical Utah marriage. Now, apparently, Utah law allows for what are called proxy marriages. So, a proxy marriage is where one part or both parts of a couple that are getting married are not in the same physical space when the marriage actually occurs. So, of course, traditionally, a marriage occurs with both people in one room with a legally authorized celebrant, somebody who's a judge or a minister or an imam or a rabbi or a priest who has the legal authority to conduct marriages. Usually everybody's in the same room and everybody understands that. A proxy marriage is where at least one person is outside the room. Now, you would be shocked to find out how many times people call my office or call the Immigration Answer Show asking, Jim, can I use the magical Utah proxy marriage to begin my immigration case? Perhaps you could, but there's some big problems with this. So, one thing that you need to understand is for a really long time, all I ever heard about was the magical California attorney. So the magical California attorney was somebody that we knew through a cousin or an uncle who knew this guy who lived down the street from somebody who hired the magical lawyer in California. The magical lawyer in California could fix all problems. The magical California lawyer had a magic wand and could make amazing things happen in immigration that no other immigration lawyer in the United States could pull off. Well, the magical California lawyer has now been replaced by the magical Utah marriage. And what do I mean by that? Well, apparently, like I said, Utah law allows people to get married when they're not in the same place, and they can do it online. And you would not believe how many people seize upon this and say, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do to be together with my spouse. And typically, this means that they haven't ever been together face to face, and they aren't together when they get married, and they want to proceed to file an immigration case without ever having actually met. This might be like an online relationship or something that might have historically been a fiance situation, but they say, well, we can get married and we can do it through this magical Utah marriage. I want you to forget about the magical Utah marriage. Please forget about the magical Utah marriage. Why do I say that? Well, there's a couple problems with it. Number one, you have to understand that people who use this marriage, they are going to have to prove that the marriage has been consummated. And for those of you who don't know what that weird old English word consummated means, it means that the couple has had sex. And the way that you prove that the couple has had sex is that you show that they were physically present in the same city at some point after the magical Utah marriage. And so a lot of people who can't be together face to face to get married, they're not going to be able to be face to face after the magical Utah marriage to prove that the marriage was consummated. You don't have to show pictures or proof of the sex, but if they know that you weren't in the same physical space, the same physical city after your magical Utah marriage, then the case is not going to be approved because you have to show that it was been consummated. And if you two haven't been in the same city, then the marriage by definition hasn't been consummated, and you're not going to be able to use that for immigration purposes. So that's the fundamental problem with it, is that people think it's a solution to their problem. And we just had a guy on the Immigration Answer Show. He had received asylum in the United States from Libya, and his fiance slash magical Utah marriage wife was back in Libya, and he wanted to sponsor her for an I-130. He got requests for evidence that showed that he would have to demonstrate that he and she had consummated the marriage, but he'd never been back to see her. So you're setting yourself up for a long, long wait. You're setting yourself up for denial. Now, are there some cases where this has been accepted? Yeah, maybe. But my job as an immigration attorney is to advocate for filing the strongest case, not the one that will just barely squeak by. That's what we don't want you to do. We don't want you just trying to get the bare minimum. So don't give them this reason to deny your case. Don't give them this reason to say they're not going to recognize the marriage and you're going to lose a year and a half waiting while they determine that you never consummated the marriage or that the marriage wasn't valid. So the fact that you can't go see your spouse is probably a sign that you have a weak case. So don't make that worse by filing the magical Utah marriage. Instead, what you need to do is you need to figure out a way to go marry your spouse like everybody else. That's what I'm telling you. That's what they're looking for. They're either going to catch it at USCIS, or they're going to catch it at the National Visa Center, or they're going to catch it at the embassy. But the magical Utah marriage is just going to put a poison pill over your whole case, and it is most likely going to be denied. So I'm advocating strongly that you do not do that. Do not rely on this thing that people are doing. Even if people say in the comments, "Oh, Jim, I got my green card." I don't care about that because most people cannot pull this off. Most people cannot pull this off, and why would you set yourself up for potential failure? And why would you set yourself up for a year and a half of heartache when at the end of the day, the case is not going to be approved? So we won't file magical Utah marriage cases. I don't want you to do it either. I hope this makes sense. If you're thinking about filing a marriage-based green card case and you want to work with the best immigration attorneys in the country, you should call Hacking Immigration Law at 314-961-8200. Email us info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. If you're not serious about hiring us as your attorneys, we still have lots of free resources for you. We have our Immigrant Home Facebook group, which has thousands and thousands of members. You can join in there, ask your questions, talk about processing times, talk about field offices and service centers. You can also join us in our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that channel so that you get updated whenever we make a new video. If you want to get in the waiting room for our Immigration Answer Show, the best way to do that is to text the word SHOW, SHOW, to 314-470-3300. That way you'll get an alert on how to get into the waiting room when I'm about to go live on our Immigration Answer Show, which we do 3 or 4 times a week, and that's just me trying to answer as many immigration law-related questions as I can in 1 hour. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.